let's talk about one of the most common and misleading pieces of advice floating around out there. Just follow your heart. It sounds sweet, it sounds empowering, and in theory, it's meant to encourage us to be authentic, to chase our dreams, and to live with passion. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Following your heart without discernment or wisdom can actually lead you straight into confusion, heartbreak, and unnecessary struggle. So let's unpack this phrase together. Where it comes from, why it sounds good, how it can go wrong, and what to do instead. So what's the problem with following your heart? The problem isn't that your heart is always wrong. It's that your heart is emotional. And emotions are real, but they're not always reliable. Your heart reacts in real time to how you feel in the moment, not necessarily what's best long term. It can be swayed by mood, hormones, trauma, ego, fear, and external pressure. 1 minute it wants one thing, and the next it wants something totally different. This is how people end up in toxic relationships that feel exciting but aren't healthy. Or they walk away from something meaningful just because it gets hard. Or they chase jobs, moves, diets, or lifestyles based on impulse, only to regret it later. Following your heart sounds freeing, but if your heart is confused, hurt, or healing, it can lead you away from what you truly need. Even scripture warns us that the heart is deceitful above all things. This is in Jeremiah 17:9. That doesn't mean that your heart is evil. It just means that it's not meant to lead you on its own. The heart is valuable, but it needs wisdom to guide it. God gave us discernment, truth, and wise counsel for a reason, because feelings change and truth doesn't. Psychology actually supports this too. When we make decisions based on emotional reactivity rather than reflection, we activate the amygdala, the fight or flight center, which overrides the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for logic, planning, and impulse control. This means that acting solely on your feelings often bypasses rational thought that can lead to choices we regret later. So while your heart may speak, your mind and spirit should help interpret. Here's why this matters. Emotional impulsivity can quietly sabotage every area of your life. In your health, it can look like binge eating after a stressful day, quitting a workout routine because it gets too hard, or chasing quick fixes because you're desperate for change. In relationships, it can look like trusting people too fast, avoiding hard conversations, or leaving something good because it didn't feel magical anymore. Spirituality, it can mean running from conviction, chasing surface level happiness, or getting caught up in feel-good spirituality that lacks substance. When we rely on our heart alone, we often choose short-term comfort over long-term growth. And this leads to patterns of regret, guilt, confusion, and cycles that repeat because they were built on emotion rather than intention. So what should you follow instead? Follow wisdom, follow conviction, follow truth. Let your heart speak, but don't let it be your only voice. Here's a better approach. 1. Feel your feelings. Acknowledge them without shame. For example, you're angry after a conflict with a loved one. Instead of reacting with silence or rage, admit you're hurt and sit with it. 2. Pause. Sit with those feelings, invite God into that space, journal, pray, and breathe. For example, before making a big decision out of frustration or rage, take 24 hours to reflect, pray, or process with a clear head. 3. Ask yourself, is this decision coming from peace or pressure, desire or discernment? For example, are you saying yes to a new job because you feel called to grow, or because you're afraid of missing out or proving something to others? 4. Talk to someone grounded, a mentor, a friend, a spiritual leader. Get outside of your own head. For example, run your thoughts by someone you trust and ask, am I seeing this clearly? 5. Think about the consequences. Where could this choice lead my future self? For example, if I quit this, what will it mean for me in 6 months? If I choose this relationship, how might this impact my life years down the road? And finally, 6, Align the choice with your values, your calling, and your faith, not just the moment. For example, does this decision reflect who I want to become, or is it just satisfying a temporary feeling? This isn't about ignoring your heart. It's about anchoring it, giving it structure and guidance so it can lead you toward growth, not chaos. Because being led only by your heart feels good in the moment, but it often leaves you empty, broken, or ashamed. And that's not the life we were created for. So the next time someone says, just follow your heart, take a moment, check in with your heart, yes, but don't let it drive the whole ship. Lead with wisdom, filter your emotions through truth, and trust that lasting peace comes from not emotional highs, but from grounded, intentional choices. Thanks for hanging out with me today for some real talk. Stay rooted, stay wise, and keep growing. Until next time, take care of your heart, but don't let it lead you blindly.